I mean, you don't know what my metric is. You only know that I've flubbed the establishment and anti-establishment thing, or that we have a disagreement on it, however you would want to describe it.
But you said that your metric is how establishment a candidate is.
And that's not my only metric.
What other metrics are there? Because some of these metrics have to be rooted in like policy or what like the outcomes of what you believe in or who you're advocating for, but where you're perpetually terrified that some nebulous understanding of what the left is going to take away everything you love and care about.
I would not entirely agree there. If once we actually can argue about policy, like once we get past the culture war part to the part where we can actually argue about policy, I'm not talking about in this discussion with you, I'm talking about in general, because I don't think there is any getting past, like there's no point in even talking about policy until one side stops castigating the other as racist, which is the main reason that I emailed you, because the
left talks about policy. You realize that all Trump has done in the past 4 years is culture war bait. Whereas when Biden gets up on stage and he talks about like his presidency, he only ever talks about policy. And this is Joe Biden, not even a leftist. This is just a milquetoast liberal, unironically decking the entire GOP establishment by getting up there and talking about what he's actually going to do as presidency. All Trump goes up there and does is he puffs his chest up and talks about how the suburbs are going to get invaded. Like you guys are the ones pushing the culture war.
Well, I would say the people on the right are the ones that got from my perspective, at least where I came into this culture war, is where the left basically during midway through Obama's term is they started castigating the other side as racist.
The conservatives have always been racist. It's not, they just started saying it louder because it's correct.
I think
it's not a culture war though. Like they're just racist. Like I don't know. Yeah,
I disagree, and I think it's a major problem that people who are falsely assuming the other side's motives think they have the right to shove what they believe down the other person's throat.
This is a lot of really loaded language. Nobody's shoving anything anybody believes down anyone else's throat. We all have free speech. We all have a right to say whatever we want. Okay. You have as much a right to speak as I do. Admittedly, I have a larger platform, but we all have that same right. So this isn't about shoving anything down anyone's throat. Additionally, of course, the Republican Party is racist. I would have to brush up on stuff to go back to the Bush years to try to remember all the fucked up stuff that he did and all the fucked up stuff that Cheney did with regards to race relations. Like, because I wasn't politically active back then. But this, of course, we're only 2 generations removed from white people frothing at the mouth, throwing rocks at little black girls being integrated into schools. There are people at those protests who are still alive today, and they vote for Trump. The Ku Klux Klan has endorsed Trump. Every racist militia in this country has endorsed Trump. There's a reason for that.
Richard Spencer actually endorsed Biden.
Richard Spencer, you mean the one guy, not any organization behind him, who's irrelevant now and was universally made fun of?
It's kind of interesting that everything you brought up was relevant, but the one I brought up wasn't.
Because I'm bringing up the plurality of evidence, and you're bringing up one example. And the reason he supported Biden, by the way, was because he thought Trump was so incompetent that he would destroy white countries better than any Democrat could.
Out of curiosity, do you see that as a different of perspectives too, that you're more focused on the collective and I brought up the individual?
Are you seriously arguing that bringing up one individual is more relevant than bringing up...
No, I'm just saying, can you see that is a different perspective?
Like, do you think there's any wait. There are always different perspectives. What matters is the validity of the perspective. Do you believe one individual anecdote is more meaningful than the plurality of evidence?
No, but I don't believe that the shit you brought up bears it. I don't believe that, like, you can say, like, well, racists support him, so he's racist.
Well, it does tell you something, doesn't it? And it does tell you something that all of the governors and all of the local legislators who were anti-black integration back in the 1960s ended up supporting conservative or Republican policies the further on they went. Many of them switched parties as well. And it is pretty interesting that all of the same zip codes that ended up polling hardest against the civil rights movement way back 50 years ago all end up vote heavily for Trump today. And it's a weird coincidence that all of our perspectives right now on racial relations concerning Black Lives Matter fit into very specific demographic and political codes that have been preserved uninterrupted since the 1960s, up to and including the same political candidates and the same political strategizers who've been working since the Southern strategy. Racism is not this nebulous, ethereal, 1 in a million thing. It's a very real fact of life that a lot of people just fucking hate black people. It's always been the case in this country. We can fix it, but we have to acknowledge this exists.
See, like you brought up the since you said it, the thing about the supporters somewhat matters. The fact that more racists are supporting Trump than Biden. This is just a personal anecdote, completely admitting it's an anecdote. I've watched a lot of Tim Pool's live streams, chat as they go by. I've also done the same for Crowder and Shapiro, the videos that they upload on YouTube. And I've never seen the words, these are racially loaded languages that I've seen